All right, so we go back to our power rankings. We're looking at number seven. Team Boo Boo is number seven in our power rankings. Top four when it comes to the overall standings, but Juan's gonna Juan, and he did start the season 3-0. But since then, it's been 2-2 since. So it's a little bit rocky road for him. A blowout loss to fourth down and bitches, and then lost by 90 points to D-Buck. So it's a little bit iffy. Outside of Patrick Mahomes, his team is very outdated. Injuries are hindering Juan right now. Debo's out, James Conner's out. Eli Mitchell's like complete ass. Never understand, how he drafts his team. We got Trey Lance sitting on his roster. We got Jimmy G sitting on his roster. Outside of Patrick Mahomes and Raheem Mostert, like this team sucks. George Kittle, like this team's ass. Like it's just they have one great game, and of course it's that one great game whenever you have to play one. Um, Now Gus Edwards looks like he may be turning into form. Zeke had like one good game. Marquise Brown, maybe a contender, maybe relevant once Kyler Murray comes back, but we'll all see how that plays out. But I'm never scared for Juan's gonna Juan once the bye weeks come up. He'll just sneak his way in the playoffs, and that's about it. He's like a cockroach. Well, he's not even like a cockroach because he won't go away. So it's just like a spider. Just kick it and they'll be done. Number six is fourth down and bitches sitting at 4-3. A week one loss to Bukaki when Tyreek scored like 60,000 points. Lost by a point and a half to D-Bach in week two, and then a close matchup loss to Ricky week four. So it's been pretty close. Jalen Hurts hasn't been doing Jalen Hurts things. He did get Cooper Kupp back, so that's definitely rewarding. Rice has been a nice addition for his team as well, drafted. There's nothing flashy about this team outside of Cooper Kupp whatsoever. Waller's like finally coming into form. Kenneth Walker's like very nice. Damian Pierce is not nice. Miles Sanders is complete ass as well. Like he's getting outplayed by Chuba Hubbard. It's really the defensive players that are holding him up, and then you had the kicker Hopkins last week, scored 22 points. I don't know how I feel about fourth down and bitches. It just seems like, maybe like the San Francisco Giants, they're just average and they just find a way to win and they kind of sneak in. Number five will be M.I. Thielen sitting at 4-3. His return back to the league. Um, the most hated person in this league. He's the villain. But with that said, he didn't even draft his team. He didn't even have the balls to even show up to draft day. Apparently, the word on the streets. But Kirk Cousins playing like Tom Brady last week, so that definitely helps. He's sitting at 4-3 without Justin Jefferson. Puka's been a nice story, and the question was, will he continue to do it without Cooper when Cooper Kupp comes around? And last week he showed that yes, he can. And he's got Jonathan Taylor and he's got Zach Moss, so he's got a nice little duo there. Running game outside of Jonathan Taylor and Zach Moss is a little bit iffy. I do like Pacheco. Um, he's got Kincaid playing now for the tight end instead of the Joker Njoku. So there's tons of potential on this team, but I think the biggest weapon is Kyler Murray that's sitting on his bench, who could potentially be a starter in due time. But if Kirk Cousins keeps doing Kirk Cousins things, then it's going to be a problem. It's going to be we don't know who he's going to start. Number four is Pops, sitting at 5-2. Um, I don't know how I feel about Pop's team. He only scored 93 points in a blowout loss to Bukaki, and then scored 122 points in a loss to Mike. So we never know which Pops is going to show up. We got to ensure that Tua's brains don't get kicked in. On paper, it's a real nice team. Devontae Adams has been really quiet the last few weeks. DJ Moore is a great receiver, but outside of that one game, he hasn't done anything. And we don't know that if Justin Fields isn't playing, is he going to get that target share? Waddle's been in and out of injuries. Madison's been a big disappointment, but at least we know that he gets the carries. Bijan had cramps or his vajayjay was bleeding or something, so he didn't play like last week either. His bench is pretty meh, but I mean overall, I think the team has underperformed, and he's sitting at 5-2, so that's pretty nice. There's still tons of potential, but 5-2, sky's the limit. Number three, Speeding Bullets, won six in a row. His first loss was the Firefly Funhouse, and that's because Dallas scored like 1,000 points on the Sunday night game or the Monday night game, whatever fucking night game it was. and he lost by 2.5 points. So I mean, D-Bock could be 7-0, if he wanted to, if it wasn't for Dallas. Um, D-Bock was really excited to hear that I was going to return, and he's probably really excited because his team's good. His team's not normally good, so there's no reason for him to pay attention to any of this. But with that said, he did acquire Brock Purdy because his quarterback play was god awful with Derek Carr and Russell Wilson. So that's solid. That's real nice. But the problem is that the Niners are 0-2 ever since he started Brock Purdy. So he's a jinx. He's fucking up Brock Purdy's career. So I need you to either release Brock Purdy from your team or trade him to somewhere else. Outside of that, Christian McCaffrey draft pick might be the best draft pick, best decision he's ever made in the Clown League. He had the number one pick. Consensus said it was Justin Jefferson. He said, no, I'm going to get Christian McCaffrey. So it's been great. But there are some question marks on the team. Chris Olave hasn't been too great, and he's locked up, and he thinks that he can say that I play for the Saints, and that means something, but it doesn't. I'd be a little bit worried about Drake London. He looks like he's emerging, but we know Drake London. We know Desmond Ritter kind of holds a lot of people back. Cole Kmet is super irrelevant if Justin Fields isn't playing, as shown. Jerry Jeudy and Brian Robinson are such a toss-up. Um, and we talked about the quarterback play. Algier is what I told everybody he was going to be, which is ass. KJ Osborne hasn't emerged too much, but we'll see where that's at. And then with Aaron Rodgers going down, Garrett Wilson value wasn't as great as it should have been. But if he can get David Montgomery back and healthy and take that timeshare away from Gibbs, or take the takes away from Gibbs, that's going to be huge for him. But with that said, Speeding Bullets is going to be a contender this year, and it's really weird to say. Number two, this is also really weird to say, is if he dies, he dies. Mike is sitting at 5-2. What world are we living in where he's sitting 5-2? He's ranked first in points scored with over 1,000. He did lose to Nick Nack, Patty Dak, and Arn Slanderson, but he did put up points when he lost. So over 128 points lost in a loss. So he's kicking ass and he's fighting. Josh Allen is obviously the core of that team. I'm a little bit concerned about his wide receiver play. He's got Cortland Sutton, he's got Scary Terry, and Mike Evans. And I know I know the commissioner mentioned, who's going to throw Mike Evans the ball. But I feel like the points should be much higher for Mike Evans, or because he's an elite receiver, but he's not doing it. Running back core, when healthy, I think they're fucking solid. He's got Aaron Jones, he's got Saquon Barkley, he's got DeAndre Swift, and Kyren Williams was a huge pickup. The bench is a little bit iffy with Boyd, Hyatt, Clyde Edwards, here. And then I don't know why, but he has like 5 defensive players. I don't know if he knows that he can't put a defensive player in a flex or anything. So running back is clearly going to be the huge thing, and with Saquon coming back last week, is huge. And then Kyren Williams, like once he gets healthy, like the guy is fucking eating. So it's really weird to say. I'm praying for Mike's fall, but right now sitting at number two, he's going to be a problem this year. And then number one's Bukaki, sitting at 6-1, ranked fifth in points scored, but this team is built around Tyreek Hill. We thought Gibbs also would be more of a monster, but he's not getting as many touches, and hopefully with Montgomery out, he can steal those touches. But we'll see. He's got King Henry, who's good for a touchdown every week, at least. Mark Andrews is starting to heat up. I'm just worried about Trevor Lawrence because he's not having that great of a year, and Jordan Love is complete ass, and that's his backup. Got potential with Warren and Mingo on his bench if they can start eating. But the big thing is Achian, or however the fuck you say his name. The guy's eating. He's very huge on him. And once he gets healthy, the Tyreek Hill and Achian duo is going to be killer. There's not too much flash to this team. Again, he's only fifth in scoring, but he provides great matchups. So that's our power rankings, and we'll have one more segment, and then we will be outie.